I received a call from somebody claiming to be from Amazon. They were inquiring about charges that I hadn't made. They wanted me to provide information to someone or other in Thailand who was going to make sure that a refund was processed against my credit card. Wow. And at that point, I hung up.
Shortly after that call, Paul received random emails from businesses claiming to be Amazon Mexico.
Click here to upload your payment for Amazon Prime.
And Amazon.com in the U.S.
This looks entirely and totally legitimate to me.
Except for it's a product that you would never buy, you don't understand.
It's a ladies' product.
Amazon in the U.S.
Correct.
I would not click on that anymore.
No. Okay.
And around the same time, he had no idea a large withdrawal was made from his line of credit until he received this letter.
The outstanding balance, currently at $10,986.59, is due and payable immediately. This was completely out of the blue.
And after having almost $10,000 stolen from his line of credit, Paul says dealing with the aftermath has made the experience even worse.
They can't tell me who it was made to, how it came about. My suspicion is that my card was scammed or skimmed, as they call it, probably in Mexico. And that all of these things have been a result thereof. There is no singular person at the branch that I've encountered anyway that can take the process from start to finish. And then various branches keep sending me back and forth between fraud, collections, and a branch. If they provide a determination in my favor, confirming that it was in fact a fraud, then I have to try to correct my credit rating, which is now, it looks like I'm a deadbeat. I just turned 60 years old. My life's work and all that I've accrued is all now in jeopardy as far as I can see.
After reaching out to Paul's bank, we received an email stating that Scotiabank cannot comment on specific customer matters for privacy reasons, but they take cases of fraud very seriously. To learn more about the various types of fraud and how you can best protect yourself from becoming a victim, visit carp.ca. Overlooking the Don Valley Ravine in Toronto, I'm Darren Maharaj for Zoomer News.
Thanks, Darren. We've all received that text or phone call that looks like it comes from Amazon or Canada Post, the CRA, or even our bank. So how can you tell if it's fake? Some of these things look so real.
Yeah, and we become numb to them because we receive them on a daily basis. The simple answer is verify, do not click. Do not click on anything you receive over your telephone. Speak to a voice. Even then, go into your bank. If it's from your bank, go into your bank and talk to a teller. But the government does not send out emails asking you to click on things. The police don't do that. Nobody does that. If you see it, it's a link, do not click on it.
Carmi, one of the things that I've found lately is that if you try to do that, you better have a lot of time on your hands because banks have cut back on even their call centers. It takes a long time to get an answer on anything.
It absolutely does, but there's still a lot that we can do on our own to verify the legitimacy or lack thereof of a message or an email or a text message that we might have received. And, I think that advice is absolutely right. Never click on anything that you receive, especially on your phone, any touchscreen device. That's kind of like deadly for responding to anything. Stop what you're doing, back out of it, go to a regular computer, go back to your desktop or laptop computer. The message will be there. Open it up, and if you're just curious, what you can do is use what we call the hover method. Take the mouse, move it over the link or the button, whatever it is, and the address will pop up. Examine it, look at it closely, and I'm absolutely certain, because this is the way it works, it looks like a real link. It looks like it comes from a legitimate source. The logo is right. The graphics in the message are right. The copy is increasingly high quality, so no more spelling errors or grammatical errors. But when that link pops up, it's pretty darn clear that has nothing to do with the institution. Either one or two letters are off or it's completely wrong. But look deeply into that. Gather that information so that when you do go to the homepage yourself, load it up, type it into your browser and search on the institution's website, you have information already in hand for when a human finally does answer the phone. So we need to be our own sleuths.
I've kind of adopted the opposite. I click on nothing. Is there a danger in that?
None whatsoever. You know, the world will not end. We seem to have this culture that has ingrained in us that we've got to answer every message that we receive, and fraudsters are banking on that. They're banking on that psychological need for us to close the loop. You know, zero inbox. We all have to answer every message. That isn't the case, and the fact of the matter remains that this is not the way that legitimate institutions behave, and we've got to back away from the precipice and save ourselves.
I want to get into which of these scams are newer than others to prepare us, but you get all these parcel things now. Well, chances are you might be getting, I mean, I've got something about a parcel saying there's a problem with your parcel delivery from whatever, and I was getting a parcel delivery from whatever. I didn't click on it, but it's very hard to tell.
Well, this is the thing, is especially with senior fraud, is that the language is so strong in the emails. Your account is going to be frozen from, you know, CIBC. Click here to unfreeze it, or your email is at its max. It will be frozen. Click here. And
I get that from IT all the time.
It's very, that's the language. It's so strong.
Well, and from a psychological perspective, what happens when we get that kind of urgency, which is like a classic psychology of influence technique, right? Make it urgent, make it time sensitive. It hijacks our higher order thinking, and we're making decisions from emotion, or we're acting out of fear, or in investment scams, maybe a fear of missing out. So we, you know, make an impulsive decision that's not well thought out. So I think the advice of like, don't click on it, slow down, verify is a really, really important one.
What they're doing is they're using classic salesman techniques.
Yeah.
And the people who are sending out these emails, that is their job. Like that, they don't go to work 9 to 5 and then send out a few emails at night. Their job is solely sending out thousands upon thousands of emails to unsuspecting people using these pressurized sales tactics that people in stores use to get us to buy things and stuff. And they're using these tactics to get us to click.
My philosophy on things like this is, if I'm expecting something, if I'm expecting a package, I've already got the tracking number. I'm already tracking it within the Amazon or FedEx or UPS or Canada Post app, whatever it is. And so if I'm aware of it, I take the conversation out. In other words, don't click on the link that you receive in that message because it's potentially fraudulent. Control the situation. Open up the app yourself and go, yeah, I am expecting that whatever it is. Let me check on it, because last time I checked, Amazon wasn't reaching out to me. If they're botching the delivery, they're certainly not reaching out to me with a link saying, you know, here to get your delivery back on track. It doesn't work that way. And we need to kind of recognize where things look a little bit iffy as we approach the edge of the cliff, and then stop the conversation and then take control within a venue that we can control, a browser, you know, a website that we're familiar with, an app that we've already been working with, a situation or engagement, an order that we've already made and we're waiting for. That's sort of the key here, is that psychological, that sense of urgency pulls us into doing things in places where we cannot control. That's when we start getting into some serious trouble.
This seems to be one of the newer scams. I mean, what are some of the other newer ones that maybe we're just starting to see?
What we're seeing now in our law office, and it's happening, we're getting calls on this daily, and it's happening to a lot of elderly people. Their emails are getting compromised. A lot of people have line of credits against their house that they don't use. There was a case that where this 80-year-old fella got a call from someone saying that they were an RCMP officer and that the RCMP had put $150,000 into his checking account. And what happened was they had got into his line of credit, transferred $150,000 from his own line of credit to his general checking account. He thought this was actually money from the RCMP, and then they told him to wire this money out. And this sort of thing is happening frequently, and the banks take a no liability position because the banks take the position you're responsible for your own email. And so all of a sudden, somebody with no debt, with a clean line of credit, has this significant debt that the banks want to collect on. They want to take this guy's condo.
Do you even know how that happened?
I mean, COVID created a whole new avenue for these fraudsters to operate, because it has people dependent on having their packages delivered through Amazon. We don't go to stores anymore. We go on our phone and we order. We're isolated. We're dependent on communicating with our cell phones and everything like that. So it all creates vulnerabilities that these fraudsters take advantage of. Frauds have been around forever, but as the vulnerabilities increase, COVID causing many of them, they evolve.
Okay. When we come back, what other scams to watch for? That's next.